Hello everybody, welcome to another great episode of Distilled, Brewed, and Reviewed. This is my second broken barrel whiskey, bourbon whiskey. First one was a cask strength. Do you know who gave me this? Once again to try? My buddy Jeff. My buddy Jeff that I work with. Real bourbon aficionado, always looking for something different, always willing to give me the bottle so I can review it. I got a hand to him. Thanks, Jeff. First one I did was a cask strength. What they do is with this company, they take bourbon, make bourbon, and then they stick different staves from all kinds of libations, really, and just give it that character of whatever was, stored, aged in the barrels that they take apart and stick the staves in. For example, this one, and they give you a lot of information, what I love. For example, the mash bill, 70% corn, 2% rye, 9% malted barley. The front of it says, made with broken oak staves, broken barrel, small batch whiskey company. 95 proof, right? 7.5% ABV, bourbon whiskey. And like I said, I told you the mash bill, and they also put oak bill, all right? The oak bill, not the grains that make up, but the oak staves that make this up. And what are they? 40% ex-bourbon barrels, 40% new French oak, 20% sherry cask. Aged a minimum of 1 year in new charred oak, distilled in Kentucky. So, bourbon. It shades at least a year. And then it seems like they either, I don't know if they put, I think they just then add, or maybe all at once. Maybe it's just at once. They do it in a new charred oak barrel, which makes it bourbon. Then they must finish it in another barrel with these staves in it. That's going to be my guess. So they make it, right? Make bourbon. The minute bourbon, whiskey to new make, hits a new charred oak barrel or container, becomes bourbon. That's second. They age it at least a year, and then they finish it in a barrel containing all these staves, the three I mentioned. So let's give it a try, shall we? That's a tight cork. All right. Tight fitting little devil. Yeah, alright. Very light whiskey. But color doesn't really tell you much. Now in this case we know it's aged at least a year, which means it's probably aged just a year or less than 2 years. But the color won't really tell you much because even though you can add coloring to bourbon, you don't know the char level of bourbon. So if someone chars a bourbon at a number 1 level char, right? Number 1. Hell, they might char it 10 years in a number. Somebody else might char it, 10 minutes at an alligator char, and it might be the same color. Okay, a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. So looking at it, you don't know. This could have been aged. We know what it was, but this just looking at it, it could be aged for a long time with a number 1 char, right? So, all right. Anyway, it's a golden, almost a color of what I would, if I saw this, and you just showed me this, and I didn't know anything about it, not smelling it, my first guess, I'd have 2 guesses. First one would be Scotch, all right? Scotch whiskey, which can be colored, but this is the color of a lot of Scotch whiskeys, because it's not all colored. Maybe cognac. But definitely, I would say Scotch. That would be my guess. Now, it's not real. It's not bad, the viscosity. So I don't know if this is chill filtered or not. I guess yes. That's just a guess. All right. Just nose it. Remember, sherry, bourbon. So it's put into brand new oak charred barrel, aged at least a year. then either introduce in that barrel for finishing or put into another barrel with introduced, we'll say stays in that barrel, and then they put in some staves from another bourbon barrel, staves that held sherry and just French oak staves, because the bourbon barrel that it was made in and the bourbon staves that they're putting in are made from white American oak. So this is French oak. All right. Ooh. It's got a nice smell to it. I'll tell you what. How much sherry oak was put in here? Ex-sherry barrels. 40%, 20%, but yet I smell it's got a very strong sherry influence. Different. It's not this usual suspects that you get out of a bourbon. It's not the strong caramel and brown sugar and honey and no. It's got a sweetness. It's got a sherry. Almost a port. It's definitely a grape, a wine influence. It's buttery. It's fruity. I like the smell. It's oaky. I wouldn't call it it's not real oaky. It's woody. It's a little slight difference that I'm having. But not traditional bourbon. No maple syrup or anything like that. More of a winey, fruity, like, I don't want to start naming fruit, but kind of like the lighter fruit. Like I'm thinking peaches, nectarine type things going on. Maybe orange. Maybe lemon when you get this, if you get this. A little bit of wood. Alcohol burn. It's got honey. It's got a sweetness. It's not a bad smell. It's a light smell. If that makes any sense. Give it a taste. Alright. Just want to give that a little Kentucky chew. I want to acclimate my mouth to this whiskey before I comment on the taste. If you just bear with me a second. Next sip, I'm going in for the kill. And then I'm going to describe it to you. I'm going to tell you what I like about this, because I like the flavor I'm getting. And the number one flavor I'm pulling off this is orange. And I like orange. There's definitely an orange flavor to this that I'm really liking. And it's got a slight butterscotch, orange first. Can't say I'm getting any chocolate, but I am getting an orange, a butterscotch, maybe a vanilla, subtle. I can see where someone might name other citrus. Maybe a kiss of lemon. Not the type thing, to my palate, a grapefruit type thing. not really lemon. I don't know if someone else was. I'll tell you what so I'm getting the orange, and I'm getting the butterscotch. A light honey. I messed up. This would be good with a splash of water, I think. It really would have changed it. I didn't bring any to the scene. That's okay. Try some water in here. It's really going to open it up, I think. 95 proof, it'll hold up. Even though it's subtle. I mean, the flavors are light flavors. Like, they're not like real wood and maple syrup and chocolate. But the ones that are there are there. It's kind of nice. I like it. I like the orange. Little tannic, bitter aftertaste in the back of the tongue. I'll tell you, it's subtle. Subtle sweetness with that subtle orange, subtle butterscotch, subtle vanilla. Maybe a kiss of lemon. Maybe you get peach, nectarine, those type of flavors. I'm not saying I get every one, but I think that's going to be most described here. And I can imagine all those, actually. I think if you put a splash of water in here, it'd really bring out some of the sweetness even more. A little bit of simple syrup type, sugar. It's a nice sipper. It really is. It's an easy sipper. I like the flavor profile. It's not a traditional bourbon taste. It's different, but it's pleasing. It's a nice sipper. I do believe it would be a nice smooth. I mean, it's hot. It's hot, but I shouldn't say smooth. I just mean light flavored, nice kisses of all these flavors, pronounced but not overbearing. You can pick out the different flavors. They also seem to marry well if you're not thinking about it to a pleasing flavor, pleasing smell. I think Broken Barrel did a good job with this one. Yeah. Well, if you get a chance, check it out. Give you a good look at it. All right. There it is. There's an important part of it right there. All right. Thank you for being here. This has been Distilled, Brewed, and Reviewed. I appreciate you. Give me a sub. Do that on your end. I'll keep doing what I'm doing on my end. Together, we will achieve greatness, my friends. See you on the next one.